Hello everybody, today we're going to be going over some foods from some entertainment mediums. This includes movies, TV, animes, and video games. Now I myself am a huge fan of these entertainment mediums. In fact, I spend most of my life doing them, and do I regret any of it because I'm not being productive doing anything else? Not one bit, because now I have all this incredibly useless information from my research on this specific topic to share with you all who watch. Now today's episode we're checking out the Chum Bucket. Why the Chum Bucket? Because literally is the first photo that showed up in this here folder of foods that I found via entertainment mediums. What inspired this? I was playing SpongeBob Moves In because I obviously have a very high standard for video games, and while I was building some chum in the Chum Bucket I realized, what is it, and why do these foods look so delicious? Well, trying to figure out what flavors are used in this here chum, I went to the only most reliable spot in the internet, and that is Wikipedia. And what I have found are the ingredients in chum is the following: jellyfish squeezings, whale blubber, seahorse snouts, a sprinkle of anchor rust. I'm assuming that's their liquid smoke. And after the episode of Jailbreak, in 2013, which means he was ready for a revamp on his menu, he did add a couple new ingredients to his chum recipe, including a cultural fungus growth, subtropical vegetal matter, organic filler, and live bacterial culture. Now, don't ask me, I'm gonna answer it anyways. I believe this man here can make incredible kombucha because he has so much experience with live bacteria. He can probably make some incredibly delicious flavors with said ingredients listed below. So come on, I want to show you something. The chum chunks. Now chum chunks, I'm assuming, are just whatever ingredients are in chum made into chunks. Another item he does have on the menu, which I think is a little easier to work with, is the chum stick, which is no different from the chum chunks that I know of, aside the fact that he put a stick into it. He's not that smart. While he does have an incredible palette for flavors, he uses one type of protein, but this protein isn't that bad if you really think about it. If you put all those things together, and the way it looks, and the fact that Bikini Bottom is located in between California and Australia, you're looking at Polynesian Hawaiian flavors. For all we know, this could be some type of spam, and I love spam. Now sure, it may not look like spam, of course it looks like it's actually dripping, but it's underwater, boys and girls. But imagine taking that said chum and putting it in between two delicious brioche buns, flaky from the butter, sesame seeds on top, and taking a scrumptious bite out of that sloppy joe. Anybody else have a nice walk down memory lane at their local Jollibee's getting those spam slider sandwiches? So good, and destroys the rest of my night because my stomach's hurting, but I will continue eating it because it's tasty, and that's exactly what the Chum Bucket is. It's a place for flavors. It's not necessarily a place you go to because it's healthy. Nothing's healthy about this. But ask yourself this. Imagine putting all this work into your restaurant, right? High-tech industry, delicious looking spam with some incredibly unique ingredients, and then being totally overlooked because across the street you have the Krusty Krab, some In-N-Out looking ass joint trying to make some burgers that do not even compete to the flavors in the palette that you've created with your chum. Well, my friend Plankton here has come up with something that looks incredibly disgusting, but the name itself can bring you back to some very delicious flavors. The chum fricassee. Now our friend here takes his chum ingredients and puts some Grandma Tentacle's secret blend of seasonings and spices. Now at first I was like, cool, Cajun food. I love Cajun food. Whenever I hear the term seasons and spices together, I think of some incredible jambalaya, which we'll get to in a moment. But a fricassee is a stew of proteins and white sauce. Now, based off our expertise and the fact that Plankton uses incredibly large amounts of seasonings and spices and a variety of different ingredients that go inside of his food, you can only imagine that the flavors are going to be a bit closer to Cajun food. Now, I know what you're saying, but you just said that Bikini Bottom's between California and Australia, but hold on, listen here. Our man has created a jambalaya. Now remember, he has a high-tech computer in his restaurant. He could get ingredients from all over the world. I'm sure they all can, but he's the one that puts implementing it into his restaurant. The jambalaya, which doesn't have any extra recipes to it, I can only imagine uses the seasonings and spices from his grandma's secret recipe and enhances that into more of a stew. I mean, he's already on the direction towards stews with his fricasse. Now that we got all that information out and about, let's go over how the food looks and how it will taste. I can only imagine that the jambalaya and the chum fricasse are probably the two best things on the menu, even though he highlights his burgers because of all the seasonings and spices that he puts into it. It can only balance, it can't get any worse. Now, the reason I say that is because with the chum, the only seasonings I can see inside of this, minus the proteins that are in there, is the Anchor Rust. Now, if I know Rust, which I don't, I can imagine it has kind of like a smoky flavor, so maybe like a liquid smoke. So he has a barbecue tendency with his ingredients. So this barbecue styled Spam, which already sounds fucking bomb, bro, included with all these spices and seasonings, which based off the jambalaya I can only imagine includes hopefully some paprika, cayenne, chili, probably not, right? But based off the fact that they are in the ocean, the only thing I can imagine can have some similar flavors to it is the Old Bay leaves. I can only imagine there's got to be a plant down there somewhere that has some type of resemblance to Old Bay leaves. Since they do grow in warmer temperatures, it's safe to say that he probably lives close to bay leaves somewhere, especially being that close to the equator, I guess, since that's California and California. Plus he has seaweed everywhere, and we all know dried seaweed, which can't be dried in the ocean, has that flavor, has a nice... We all know that seaweed is very salty, but also includes a lot of MSG, which gives it that umami flavor. Mix all those together, you do have probably a really tasty meal with very addictive flavors in it, because MSG is a very addicting seasoning to put into your foods. That's why I like it so much. One thing that did catch my eye on here, sure, the burger's probably delicious. Jambalaya, I would definitely give that a flavor taste. The chum stick, the chum chunks, and the chum nuggets probably all taste the exact same, just different shapes, forms, and sizes, no big deal. Then we have the chum shake. Now, the chum shake is what I would imagine is the origin of the ideas for the fricasse and the jambalaya, only because he found a way to take the chum itself and liquefy it and assumed he could sell it as a shake without realizing that at some point he was going to have to add all the seasonings and spices to it and then sell it under a new name. Is it good? Probably the worst thing on the menu in my opinion. That's not something I would want to drink. I would more than be happy to try all the other flavors. I mean, you know, given an actual bucket of chum is literally just like old fish parts. So, you know, right off the bat, the choices he made for how he was going to make this chum, and the fact that he even adds some rust to it to give it that liquid smoke flavor, he's already enhanced. He's already highlighted how good chum can be. Last but not least, before we go over a meal and see if it's delicious or not, chum fries. You can only imagine, which I keep saying, chum fries. Yes, it is literally probably chum into a little like shape and then deep fried in that delicious chum grease, which surprisingly McDonald's used to do. They used to do a beef oil in their French fries up until the 90s. So this guy is really playing with some old school ideas, not really giving in to the social pressure to hit vegetable oil, right? I mean, let's just break it down like this. If you're looking for that local flavor, if you're looking for, you know, that hip spot that not a lot of people go to that probably sells some really delicious and cheap foods, Chum Bucket. Now, what would my order be? I would highly recommend, if you were to go in there, to order yourself a chum burger, because I'm assuming that brioche bun can really amplify the flavors of the burger itself. Get some chum fries, because it's going to be deep fried. You get a nice crispy texture to it. As a So that crispiness is going to be a good balance between, you know, the burger and the fries. And then definitely get yourself a side of jambalaya. I don't know if he has smalls or larges. I'd probably get a large because my fattest would probably eat all of it. But the jambalaya is going to include all of his seasonings that you'd probably see in the fricasse, and is probably like his most recent item on the menu, which I would probably argue is his best item on the menu. Easily, no doubt, right? So this was our visit to the Chum Bucket on this awesome new interest of checking out foods from entertainment mediums. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like the video. Leave a comment of where I should explore next. And please subscribe, because I do anime reactions, and now I do these food things. So I will see you in the next video.